Aloha once again. Welcome back to the 7th Direction. My name is still David. We are still focused on going in our 7th direction. That means straight into ourselves. One of the reasons we're still focused on going that way is because there seems to be a great deal to learn about our inner landscape as we go in that direction. A large number of natures to the universe, we could say, that can come as something of a surprise to us based on our typical three-dimensional existence. Everything from that we are actually beings of light, to that we are consciousness that continues beyond the three-dimensional lifetime, to the idea that there would therefore be other consciousnesses that would be floating around of all kinds of different shapes and sizes, to the idea that we live in a giant now moment, and that we're actually putting together an illusion of past and future, but we don't actually ever exist in either one of those places. An idea that helps us to explain, helps understand why it can be so challenging for us to keep our point of view, where we do some work yesterday that leads us to some new magnificent view of enlightenment, and then the next day it seems murky again. And the reason is because if we're all light consciousness beings sharing this holographic 3D, we're spiritual beings having a human experience, and we're all little bits of God running around, and we all share the same exact power, and this is where we come to use that power. Well, then, as we are moving forward, we're dynamically recreating every new moment. So that's why we slip back into our patterns. That's why it's so important to have new patterns, so that as we go forward, we make new stuff, we exist in a new way. But the idea that we are actually recreating it at each moment is one of the reasons why it can be so challenging to hold on to the things that you have held on to in the past. Now, on the flip side, that means that you can change quickly. Should you choose to, you may completely flip yourself over, because all you're carrying with you are your patterns and your energies. It's true as an individual. It's true in the largest sense, as the great, eminent physicist Richard Feynman noted in his work, The Holographic Universe, which was written 25 years ago, before his death, obviously. But if we live in a universe that really is this light consciousness thing, where, I mean, according to the laws of physics, you affect the smallest subatomic particles through the act of observing them, through applying consciousness to them. So we can support the idea that we're creating dynamically everything as we go. And if that's true on an individual level, then it's true for the rest of the planet. And as Dr. Feynman pointed out, that means we need to get engaged in the process. We need to be putting ideas out into the consciousness that will change things for the better. Now, it's interesting that he wrote this stuff right before the explosion of the internet, and of course the internet is the single greatest blessing that we have on Earth at this moment for spreading knowledge. Like anything else, everything is a double-edged sword. It can be used to spread hate in the same way that it can be used to spread wisdom. Eventually, those things work themselves out. So on a larger scale and on a smaller scale, the process is always the same. And on a larger scale, if we are sharing information in ways we've never shared it before, that is definitely a powerful movement forward. Why? Because every process of change starts with being aware that you need to or want to change. Until that awareness exists, change does not exist. As the saying goes, first you become aware, then you decide you care, then you decide to do something about it. So, as you go through this process for yourself, where eventually things get so itchy in your life that you just have to deal with it, stuff you didn't have to deal with yesterday now is intense enough to deal with today. That's the point of karma. That's why you do it to yourself. But on a larger scale, what we're seeing is that with the various tops being popped off of the various containers around the planet, we're finding there's a lot of anger and hate. Why didn't we see it before? Because the geopolitical system of the 20th century was very heavy-handed. And you had a lot of forced quietness. And now that there's less overlordship in various parts of the world, various communities and civilizations are free to express how much they hate each other. That's the process that we're going through on the planet right now. It's just like the war of your ego mind. Eventually, that will wear itself out. Eventually, in time, those people will come to see that that path is not taking anybody anywhere, and there will be peace, and ultimately everything will sort of settle down in that way. But in the meantime, they're going to have to work it out. Now that sounds like a maturity process, meaning you change the way you deal with things as you go through life, and you feel a slightly more mature perspective than that on things. That can be revealing to you about how, yes, there are different soul ages, that all souls are not the same, all souls are not here to achieve enlightenment. Different souls have different missions at different times. All that being said, if you are here now, looking at this set of videos, maybe it is your time. Maybe this is your moment to be sort of shaking yourself up, breaking free of the patterns of your youth as a soul, and moving forward in the fastest way that you can. Ultimately, this is your responsibility. How do you know? Same story with my mother. Tapping into this energy of being destructive. Actually freely acknowledging now, as a soul after death, that she gave herself the dreadful disease of multiple sclerosis. She had her own reasons for doing so. Now she sees from outside the body that was not so wise, and so she's going to do it again. She's going to come back here and test herself in that way, in whatever lifetime metaphor she chooses, to make sure that she won't do that to herself again. So the little mini lessons that you go through one at a time in life, you also go through them in a larger scale in life. Why? So that you understand you really are creating. You understand that you have the power. That means you have the responsibility as well. Whatever you can pat yourself on the back for that you like, you also have to look very ruthlessly at what you don't like and realize you are contributing actively to whatever that is. And here's the kicker. Remember that not taking action is taking action. Not making a decision is making a decision. How? You're deciding to keep things the same. If you decide not to change, you are acknowledging that the existing way of doing things is acceptable to you, since you never stop creating, The whole thing never stops going forward. You never put yourself on pause. It's always rolling forward. We as individuals are always creating. We as a planet are always creating. So when you opt out, you're not opting out of anything. You are opting into something that will continue. If you really want change, you have to apply yourself to it. And remember, what's in is out, what's out is in, what's big is little, what's little is big. So what you do for yourself, you have to do for your community and for the planet. Otherwise that change is just not going to happen. So as you see, when you go in your 7th direction, you do come back to 3D. That is the whole point. You are a whole being, a holistic being. You're not trying to escape. You're trying to bring everything that you can, everything that you have in you, to this experience to make it the best experience it can be for yourself, for everyone around you, and for the planet at large. That is living your soul path. If you want to find it, keep going in your 7th direction. Things will get better. I hope you're having a good day. We'll talk again soon. Aloha.